What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Comedian Token for Lateral Grip. We are talking Talladega. We are talking the big one. We are talking first time winners. And we're gonna do some housekeeping stuff here. And I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, but that's the first thing I'm gonna work on is the housekeeping stuff here. So first, order of business. Apologies. I was wrong. I've been wrong before. It happens. But the bottom line is we say what we know, we try to feel what we say, and we try to assume what's going to happen next. That was a lot of words there, but the reality is this. I spoke a few weeks ago about Daniel Dye. Okay, Daniel Dye was suspended from NASCAR. In case you don't remember, Daniel Dye was suspended from NASCAR indefinitely for some comments that he had made. We're not going to go to the comments. It's over. It's done with. However, he was reinstated a couple of weeks later. Now, of course, when he was reinstated, he lost Dodge. They resigned from each other, is the way they put it. He lost his ride with Colleague Racing, which was in the Truck Series. So I had been giving Daniel Dye the "it's over, Daniel Dye," because you're not Kyle Larson. You know, coming back from this thing is going to be very, very difficult for me. However, Daniel Dye was back at Talladega. Daniel Dye was in the ARCA race. And Daniel Dye was in the Cup race. And Daniel Dye is scheduled to be in some more Cup races. Now, is he in the top Cup ride? He's not. But he is in a ride where he can showcase his skills and he can showcase taking care of the car. And of course, at super speedways, it's anybody's race. The speed definitely makes a difference, is a factor. But if you can stay clean, you can have a decent finish for a team that doesn't have decent finishes all the time. So, with that being said, congratulations, Daniel Dye. Congratulations on furthering your career and continuing to move forward. You are doing your thing. The other one I'm going to talk about here is Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman, obviously, he had the vertigo situation. Okay. And he's been back. Now, he came back for Bristol. He was obviously in Kansas. He had some tough finishes in both Bristol and Kansas. But Talladega, strong day. Strong day, good day. We'll talk about it in that Cup Series segment, but really strong for Alex Bowman. Really good way to come back in the series. So congratulations to him for that. He did make some comments after the race that he was glad he had a good day and he was glad the car came back in one piece and he wasn't in any major wrecks, which because he don't feel like he could take too many more of those, in his career. Now, we're just here to report, but I guarantee those words are going to be under a microscope because now you're asking about the longevity of Alex Bowman. I don't think Alex Bowman is going to be in the 48 going forward as of next year. However, I don't think that helped him with anybody else's opportunity to get in their car either, if that is something he wanted to do. That's just my opinion, my thoughts. You can feel free to tell me how you feel. I got a chat right there. You can feel free to comment somewhere else, comment on it. Oops, sorry about that. I moved my mic around there. Sorry about that. But we're going to move on to the races now. The first thing we're going to talk about, something we don't talk about necessarily as much, but obviously social media is taking hold in NASCAR in a big way via Cletus McFarland, Squirrel McNutt. Okay. And so we're going to talk Talladega. We're going to talk ARCA Menards. The ARCA Menards series had Cletus McFarland, had Squirrel McNutt in it. I thought it was supposed to have Destiny Spurlock in it, but it did not for whatever reason. It said she was racing that race. Not sure what exactly happened there, whether it was a money situation or whatever. It does look like she will be back in one of the later races in the ARCA series, and I look forward to that because I think she did really, really well in her first time out. But we digress. We're going to talk about ARCA Menards here. Looking at the ARCA Menards race, obviously we had Cletus McFarland in the race. We had Squirrel McNutt. We had Gio Ruggiero was in this race. Daniel Dye was in this race. Daniel Dye was in this race. So yeah, we had Daniel Dye was in the 20 car in this race, which if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's Venturini that he was racing for. So he had a good car. He had a good car underneath him for this race. With that being said, the race was pretty, I'm not gonna say uneventful. The race was eventful, but it was, even though there were some key cautions, there were some wrecks. Okay. Squirrel McNutt ended up being in one of these wrecks. It was, he had probably one of the greatest quotes I've heard. When he was in this wreck, this was later in the race, towards the end of the race, he was having a pretty solid race, but we had this when, and this was not of his doing, by the way. This was something where it's just, one car gets in an incident, gets into another car, and all of a sudden you've got an accordion effect. This is what happened to Squirrel McNutt. And what Squirrel said was, and I'm not going to quote it because I don't have the quote necessarily, but it was something to the effect of, I looked up, I saw Biffle riding an eagle, and then I saw smoke, is what he said. And that Biffle riding an eagle was absolutely hilarious. With that being said, Squirrel McNutt obviously did not finish in the best position. However, his friend, colleague, teammate Cletus McFarland was strong in this race. Cletus led the laps. Cletus was able to move around, get the car where he needed it to go. Cletus was, I want to say, I believe he was in second spot. He might have been in fourth spot on the final restart. Now, the final restart was essentially like a green, white, checkered type of thing. Although in the ARCA series, they do green checkered. Is the way they do it. They do essentially. So it's like white flag checkered. That's kind of the way they did it. So with that being said, there they go. They're on that final lap. There was some jockeying. Cletus kind of got out of shape a little bit, really was pushing the car around. In the process of doing that, he opened the door for AJ. Make sure I get this right. Andy, sorry, I say AJ. Andy Jankoyak. I think I'm saying that right, to slide on the outside of him there. They're three wide coming to the checkered. Cletus finishes second. Andy Jankowiak finishes first, his first win. While Andy is jumping up on top of the car celebrating, Cletus is in the infield jumping up on the car celebrating his second place finish. Well deserved. Great job, man. Honestly, I got to believe that goes a long way with your progress as far as being able to race in further races, in the O'Reilly series. I think you've definitely proven and taken some big steps towards that. I think people will look at you differently because of that. And I think that's going to be exciting for you there. Obviously, keep getting those ARCA cars. Let's see what you can do outside of a super speedway. I know you want to race super speedways, but let's see what you can do outside of a super speedway as well. So our top 10 in that race, I just mentioned it. Andy Jankowiak, he wins the race. Cletus second. Gus Dean third. Isabella Robusto, she was actually leading the race on the final restart. She ended up getting flipped back to fourth. Gio Ruggiero fifth. Tyler Reimer sixth. Sean Core, Ryan Vargas. Daniel Dye finishes ninth. And Will Kimmel brings it back in 10th. That was our ARCA race. A good race to watch. It really wasn't a bad race. It was a good race to watch. It was an enjoyable race to watch. And so that was the ARCA race. So we're going to jump right into the O'Reilly series. O'Reilly series at Talladega can be a crapshoot. These cars can move each other around a little more, but and it kind of looked like it was going to be that way. I mean, early incident, Patrick Starpoli, excuse me, gets spun. He hits the outside wall early, and he collected, yeah, I wouldn't say several cars. He collected 4 or 5 cars in it, and already it looked like there was going to be some issues. It looked like there was going to be a problem. But they pretty much just took off after that. There wasn't too many incidents. There was strong moves, but there wasn't too many wrecks. They raced 3 and 4 wide pretty consistently throughout this race. There was some times where they got up in a single file order, which is expected. In Talladega, it's kind of like a rest move, right? Essentially, but for the most part, they were pretty solid. Jesse Love was solid in this. Now, here's where it got interesting, though. Jesse Love, Austin Hill. Not only do they make winning moves in these races, their cars are extremely fast. And normally their cars can make moves other people's can't because they just seems like they've got the horsepower to get around. They didn't have that in this race. Now I'm not saying they didn't have that because they definitely had speed, but what we saw was the Hendrick slash Junior Motorsports cars, the Hendrick engines were either caught up or better than the ECR engines this time around. Like if you had an ECR engine in the past, you were the cream of the crop in these O'Reilly's races. This week, this weekend, excuse me, for the O'Reilly series, that was not the case. The Junior Motorsports Hendrick horsepower was strong, and it showed up consistently throughout this race. Now, Corey Day, he was obviously strong in this race. Now there was no qualifying. There was no qualifying, so they lined them up according to finishing orders and whatever metrics they were using there. And so that was what they used to essentially line them up. And so of course you didn't that was kind of how it worked there. So stage one was won by Carson Quapple in that one car. He was very, very strong. Stage two, Justin Allgaier. Here we go. Junior Motorsports. Was looking like they were strong here. Towards the end of the race, Jesse Love, he was leading. He was moving around quite a bit. And all of a sudden, probably with about 10 laps ago, they just split Jesse Love. I mean, they split him. He got caught in the middle and he went backwards and he went backwards fast. Now, Corey Day, congratulations, Corey Day. Corey Day was up contending the entire race. He was not in an issue. He was not making any crazy moves. But the car was there. I mean, he was strong in that car. It looked like Sam Mayer and let's see, Sam Mayer and Austin Creed, no, Sheldon Creed. Jeez, I'm losing my mind. Sheldon Creed were very, very strong for Haas Factory Team. And in fact, Sam Hunt Racing with Jeb Burton, they were in the mix all day. They were making strong moves. And then towards the end of the race, we have what happens at a super speedway. We have a couple cars get together. They go up, they end up taking out 4 or 5 other cars. Now, those 4 or 5 other cars are Sam Mayer. Now Sam Mayer, let me say this. Sam Mayer had made a great save where he was kind of pushed out of line, made a great save. Don't even know how he hung onto that car, kind of held onto it, went to the back, and somehow or another was driving that thing up to contend for the win with very few laps to go when chaos breaks out. When chaos breaks out, you have someone gets into Sam Mayer as Sam was blocking for the lead. Now, this was kind of on Sam Mayer at this point, but when Sam spins up the track, he ends up taking out Jeb Burton, Harrison Burton, and several others. Which now at this point we've got a major incident. Basically, on the final lap, the white flag had been taken, and bam, Corey Day wins the race. Because what had happened though, too, when those cars wrecked, they actually killed the momentum of one of the other lines, and Corey Day ends up pushing himself out front. Corey Day takes the lead. He wins the race at Talladega. Now, here's where it gets interesting. One of the guys that wasn't even there all day, he was kind of in contention, but he was just kind of biding his time. Is going to be phenomenal in this series. It's only a matter of time. Brent Cruz. Brent Cruz finishes second. Okay. I got to believe this is his first super speedway at Talladega. He finishes second in that race. Third, Sheldon Creed. Sheldon Creed gets his second in a row Dash for Cash win. That's $200,000 that he's won in the last few weeks, according to the Dash for Cash program, and he's got a chance to do it again at Texas. Sammy Smith fourth, fifth, Jeremy Clements. This was a great finish for Jeremy Clements. Jeremy needed some kind of finish because he has been struggling in that car. I believe that he's got better equipment. He's got a better alliance this year. He's got more horsepower. And I think Jeremy is just overusing the car to try to get more out of it than what it currently has. It has a lot, but I don't believe that the comfort factor is there yet for Jeremy Clements. I believe when it does get there, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. But right now, he's just got to find his comfort. He's got to find where that car feels best. And when he does that, that is going to change. Sixth place, Dean Thompson. Again, Sam Hunt Racing, we're talking about there. Seventh place, Jesse Love. Eighth, Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones has been solid all season. Brandon Jones is usually wrecking out of these things. So the fact that he finished the race was a big deal for him. Parker Retzloff, ninth, and 10th, Austin Green. Great run for Austin coming in there as well. Now, looking at these points, Justin Allgaier still has the point lead. He has a 105-point lead over second place Sheldon Creed, Jesse Love third, Corey Day fourth. Brandon Jones is in a solid fifth place right now. Well, I say solid. He's actually only 1 point over sixth place, but Carson Kvapil seventh, Austin Hill eighth, ninth, Taylor Gray 10th, Parker Retzloff. Unfortunately, Taylor Gray in this race he did have some issues, and which mired him back a little bit. And that was another thing though. Carson Kvapil, Justin Allgaier almost forgot about this. They had so NASCAR has implemented a rule, and apparently they told the teams about it. They told the teams we're going to be watching this. In the Cup Series last year, you would see cars blend onto the track, um, coming out of turn two. Essentially, they would blend onto the track, and the vehicles that were going 10, 15, 20 miles per hour faster, the other racers that were all drafting together before they were even up to speed, they would pull up in front of them and try to block them, break their momentum, break their draft, hopefully not cause an accident, a wreck, but in the meantime, break their draft enough so that they could come up to speed and be in the same line or the same lineup and not lose as much time. They were warned about this. The O'Reilly series was warned about this. However, when we watched this, you could see they were looking right down the line. It was crazy. Jesse Love was leading the draft pack coming out of turn two as the cars were blending back on the track. Some were blending towards the bottom. They were kind of staying towards the bottom, pushing towards the middle. Carson Kvapil takes off towards the top, really blocking momentum. Then you see Justin Allgaier take off towards the top as well. Those cars were penalized. Those cars were penalized with a pass-through penalty where they had to now be by themselves. They were basically by themselves in a draft. Two cars does not draft better than 20, 30 cars. And therefore, it pretty much took their race away at that point. Unfortunately, that's what happened there. They lost a lot of speed by that happening. I don't even think it was necessary. They had enough speed and enough ability to be able to get around and do the things they needed to do if they just would have minded their P's and Q's. Again, that's hindsight being 2020, of course, but that totally affected their ability to race for a win there, which was unfortunate. It really was unfortunate. Although it was fun to watch Jesse Love, for lack of a better term, the way it looked, he was playing pole position, that old video game where you're going back and forth to get in between to get around the cars. That's kind of what it looked like Jesse Love was doing when he was weaving in between traffic to try to keep his momentum in that race. But that is what happened there. Next week, we are at Texas Motor Speedway. I believe the O'Reilly Series is there as well. I will double check that. But look for big things once again. Man, Haas Factory team has been good. Junior Motorsports has obviously been phenomenal. Hendrick's been phenomenal. Joe Gibbs Racing. But most of the wins right now are Hendrick and Junior Motorsports. So we're gonna see what they have for them. And now we're gonna move into the big boys, the Cup Series. So here we go. Let's talk Cup Series. The 2026 Jack Links 500 at Talladega Super Speedway. Now, this race was a good race. There was a lot of now they changed up some rules. Let's talk about Talladega rules for a second, okay? Talladega rules normally You see cars four wide. It looks really cool, but they're really not going very fast because they're saving fuel. So what NASCAR did was they said instead of making the long stage, because if you look at the O'Reilly series, you look at the fact that the first two stages were like 25, 30 laps, something like that. And then the last stage was the long stage. Well, they didn't do that in the Cup Series. They did the opposite. They did a long stage in the Cup Series. I believe it was like 98 laps. And then the final two stages were like 45 laps. They were the type of stages where it was all about you already have a full tank. So you shouldn't have to save fuel. You should be able to go all out and make this thing happen. And we saw exactly that when it came to the first stage. There was a lot of fuel saving. There were cars that they were three wide, they were trying to hold each other up. And then finally, some of the drivers said, I'm done with this. They started pushing the envelope, pushing the issue, and making other drivers have to use their fuel in order to keep in the draft, in order to stay towards the front. Um, that was what they were doing. And it worked. It worked pretty well. Now, the first stage, incident free, no real major issues there. In fact, let's see this the first stage here. Let me see who won the first stage. Let me see if I can remember. Um, let's see. I'm not seeing it here. Also, the Cup Series. If just to kind of say something about that as well. The Cup Series also was rained out for qualifying and practice. So they didn't know what they had until they got on the track. So with that being said, that was, you kind of mind your P's and Q's a little bit, see what's going on. But there was a lot of three and four wide racing. Obviously in the early stage, just due to the fact that again they were saving fuel. There were people who wanted to save fuel, there were people who didn't want to save fuel. You can see immediately the saving fuel was going to be a thing because immediately the cars that started in the way back, talking about Austin Dillon, talking about Kyle Busch, within just like 6 laps, they were up in a third line up near the front. And so that told me that they weren't interested in saving fuel at the beginning. They were interested in getting track position and then worrying about saving fuel, which is what they did. And, that honestly benefited them throughout the day as they did a pretty decent job holding serve, which is something that Richard Childress Racing needed from the 8 and the 3 car. However, the 3 car, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but we'll go into that. So here we go. So we have several cars up front. Chris Buescher was up front all day. We have several cars moving around, jockeying for position. Lap 115. This is in the second stage. Lap 115. Bubba Wallace is leading the race. Bubba Wallace is moving around a lot. Bubba Wallace's car was loose. There was no question about that. And these cars just didn't seem to line up. And I'm talking about the Toyotas here. They didn't seem to line up bumper wise with the Fords and the Chevys. They just looked like there was some kind of discrepancy. And as an example, when they showed Bubba's in car, he was lifted off the ground. That tells you the discrepancy that there was. So lap 115, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, they're basically holding off the pack, which is 3 wide behind them. Ross moves up, Bubba moves up in front of him. The pack behind gets a bit of a run. You've now got an accordion hit, 2, 3 cars hitting Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain hits Bubba Wallace, which lifts Bubba Wallace's back wheels. Bubba Wallace goes straight up into the wall. At the same time, he's going up into the wall. Now, remember, he is the lead car. He takes a lot of cars with him. I mean, a lot. There were about 26 cars in this race. Remember, the race started with 40. There were 26 cars in this wreck. Now, were several cars able to drive away? They were. But were there some cars that were just completely destroyed? There absolutely were. Kyle Larson, one of those cars. Ryan Blaney, William Byron, he has struggled lately, and this was no big help either as far as that goes. Ty Gibbs, he was damaged pretty heavily in this wreck as well. Um, Bubba Wallace gets out. I mean, what can you say? Bubba Wallace was a true proponent of a clean um, interview. He didn't really blame anybody. He was just like, my car was hard to push. It didn't feel stable, and he was right. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, that's all. That was the bottom line there. But this did affect a lot of cars. Now we go back to green, lap 124. Ty Gibbs, he's back on the racetrack, but within like a lap, he ends up breaking something in the front end and going hard up into the outside wall where he collects Michael McDowell in the process. So that didn't help Michael McDowell's situation, obviously, either. Michael McDowell had a fast car. Spire had fast cars at Talladega. Um, with that being said, um, that was the unfortunate side of that. Lap 161, there was a debris caution for Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick made contact with the outside wall, ended up tearing some stuff up, got some debris out there. So there was that debris caution as well. Now we are getting towards the end of this thing. I said lap 161. This is a 188 lap race. So we are now gearing for the final restarts. Final restart coming. We've got Carson Hocevar up there. We've got, let's see here. We've got Chris Buescher up there. We've got Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott. Somehow or another, Zane Smith was up in this mix. Ross Chastain, even though he was in that earlier wreck, he actually ended up he wasn't as much in the wreck as he pushed people out of the way. But with that being said, we've got jockeying, we've got racing for position, and then we've got another triggered wreck, which now affects Austin Dillon. It affects a few other drivers there, which obviously affects their day heavily because it looked like Austin Dillon was probably going to have a top 5 finish, if not have an opportunity to win the race. But here we go. First time winner once again. 3 first time Talladega winners over the weekend. Carson Hocevar gets his first win in the Cup Series, rides the Dente, and I'll explain what I mean by that in just a second. I mean, Chili's is his sponsor, but rides the Dente. And Fox, I can't believe you mentioned Ricky Bobby went to Chili's at the end of the race because Ricky Bobby went to Applebee's. Applebee's was the sponsor of Talladega Nights, not Chili's. But I get what you were trying to do with it. Hopefully, it was just, that's what it was. But anyway, so Carson Hocevar wins the race. Carson Hocevar immediately goes down into one of the paved sections, which used to be grass, and he is trying to figure out how to get out of his car but drive it at the same time. And he does this for a good, I would say, 5 minutes. He's in, he's out, he's in, he's out, he starts it, it dies, he's in, he's out. Finally, he gets it. Now, when he gets it, he looks like he's driving straight into the inside wall. But then he turns the wheel, he gets it. All right, hey, look, all right, we got this thing. He's now up on the track and he is saluting the fans out of the car, similar to, and this is the funny part that they said, but similar to Dale Earnhardt cleaning his windshield years ago in the race when he didn't want to pit and lose track position. In fact, NASCAR decides to put up the side-by-side or the up and down picture of both of these drivers and vehicles on their webpage. So as Carson Hocevar is going down, he's saluting the fans, he's driving the car. He then puts the car up into the wall as he's still out of the car and begins a burnout. And it was a pretty good burnout. It was solid. It was a solid burnout. And then he stops the car, jumps on top of it, does his celebration, is walking around, walking on the fence, not the fence line, but actually, not the fence, but the safer barrier portion of the fence. He is walking alongside of it after his interview. But he does his interview. Congratulations, Carson Hocevar, first win. Probably haven't heard anything yet, but probably was told not to do that again, is my guess. Now, Carson Hocevar is tall. Okay, one of the tallest guys in the garage area, definitely one of the tallest drivers. So he has the advantage of being able to reach down with his foot and push those pedals while sitting on the door rail. But still along those lines, This is something that NASCAR is probably going to, from a safety standpoint, say, yeah, we don't want to encourage that. Okay, but first time thinking outside of the box, great celebration. He said that it's something he'd been thinking about for a while. So there's some good confidence right there because he knew he was going to win. No matter what track it was going to be, okay, he knew he was going to win at some point. And with that being said, he said if it took me 20 minutes to get this right, I was going to do it. It didn't take him 20 minutes; it was about 5 minutes. But good celebration. It was strong. It was positive. Chris Busher, he finishes second. He needed that finish. That is a finish that he's needed for a while. Alex Bowman, we talked about him earlier. Third place finish, unscathed car, very solid. Great day for him. Chase Elliott comes in fourth. Fifth place, Zane Smith. Sixth, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Seventh, Ross Chastain. Eighth, Austin Cindric. Ninth, Noah Gregson. Go ahead, Noah. He needed that one. Talladega is a track he really likes. 10th, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch gets the 10th place finish here. Kyle did have on one of the later restarts a pit road violation, uncontrolled tire violation by the team. Just kick you when you're down type of thing, like everything seems to be going right at this day. Now he did bring it back to a 10th place finish. He probably could have been better off. He had better track position than that. But unfortunately now, but again, he may have been up in that wreck as well, just the same as Austin. So maybe you kind of look at it as like, okay, well, that was a positive finish no matter what. So Kyle Busch, 10th place finish. Todd Gilliland has been having solid finishes for the last few weeks. He comes back in 11th. Danny Suarez, 12th place. 13th, Ty Dillon. Now, Ty Dillon, as well as AJ Allmendinger, before this race even started, had crew chief and crew members ejected for failing inspection twice. Now, obviously, they got through inspection the third time and was able to race, but Ty Dillon comes back in a 13th place finish. Tyler Reddick, 14th. Then he finishes 15th. AJ 16th, 17th, Christopher Bell. Ryan Preece 18th. 19th is Austin Dillon. Again, caught up in that last accident there. Shane Van Gisbergen brings it back 20th. Cody Ware, a decent finish, 21st. John Hunter, 22nd. 23rd. Eric Jones, 24th. Here's where it gets interesting. Daniel Dye, Live Fast Racing. Daniel Dye brings it back 24th place, 2 laps down. I'm not 100% sure whether he was caught in one of those incidents or not. But he obviously didn't have the fastest car, but he still stayed fairly clean, brought it back home, 24th place finish. It could have been a last place finish. He started last in this race. He started 40th. He was the last car to make the race because, again, they did not qualify. But he finished 24th. He's going to be in the Cup car about 5 or 6 more times this year, it sounds like. Congratulations to Daniel Dye. I hope you make something out of it. I hope you completely make me. I already apologize, but I hope you completely make me eat my words, and just make this thing a career starter for you. Just a new career starter there. All that being said, let's look at the championship standings here. Championship standings here. Tyler Reddick still has the lead by 110 points over Denny Hamlin. Ryan Blaney third, Chase Elliott fourth, fifth, Ty Gibbs, sixth, Kyle Larson, seventh, Chris Buescher, eighth, Carson Hocevar, ninth, Christopher Bell, 10th, Brad Keselowski. Now, if you remember right, Bubba Wallace was 8th place last week. He took a hit. He took a hit. Matter of fact, I am going to see where he ended up landing here. I don't have him in my top 10. So let's see. It doesn't look like they want to tell me. Oh, let's try this again. But yeah, he took a hit. He is not in the top 10 any longer. So, he needs to have a good day at Texas, a good, clean day at Texas. This is not wanting to work. Let me try this one more time. I love AI for certain things, but I don't love it when it just says it doesn't want to do what you want it to do. Like, I should have had this information already. All right. Try this again. All right, come on, bring it, baby. There we go. Bubba Wallace went back to 12th. Bubba Wallace went back to 12th in the point standings. He lost 4 spots with that incident, and so that is unfortunate. But he has some good bounce back, so he should be fine. He definitely has fast cars. There's no question about that. Yeah. So that is Talladega. So the next race we're going to is Texas. Um, I like Texas. I know the drivers don't like Texas, or they say they don't like Texas, but it seems I don't know. I feel like Texas races pretty well. I think it's a fun race to watch. So I look forward to that. To see what's going to happen there, and we're just we're excited to see. Can Tyler Reddick come back and win another one? Absolutely. But there's a lot of opportunity for other drivers there as well, and so that'll be interesting to see. Can ECR I'm sorry, excuse me, can Childress Racing, um, take that momentum that they got of having decent finishes at Talladega and propel them through Texas? It's happened before. The speed doesn't generally generate the same, but at the same time, the confidence can. And if you get some confidence back in your ability to do something, that might mean something. That might get them over the hump there. So, with all those things being said, we're going to go ahead and leave it at that. Great weekend of racing. It's going to be a great weekend next week. Who do I have winning Texas? I'm gonna go Ryan Blaney. Ford's had a couple of tough weeks, but I'm gonna go Ryan Blaney. I think Ryan Blaney is really really strong at Texas, so I think he's gonna be fun there. And we're gonna leave it at that. Besides, wouldn't you want a big cowboy hat with the big giant mustache and shooting some pistols? That would be great at Texas. Anyway, with all that being said, guys, I am going to get out of here. We're going to do this again next time. Uh, Leave comments, like, subscribe, tell me what you think. If you know some crew chief drivers, whatever, I would love to have somebody on here to bounce some ideas off of. With all that being said, like I say every week, stay smooth, stay fast, and keep that right foot on the pedal. This is Comedian Token for Lateral Grip, and I'm out.